Boom! What's up, fam? Anthony Johnson here today, co-founder of the Redman Group, CEO of 21 Studios, founder of the 21 Convention, 22 Convention, 21 University, 10,000 other things on the internet. Founder, of course, Make Women Great Again, Make Women Virgins Again, lately is the new motto. Today on episode 142 of the Redman Group, I'm going to be talking with a special guest, new guest to the Redman Group, and a new confirmed speaker for the 21 Convention 15-year anniversary going on in Orlando, Florida this October 21st to 24th. In Orlando, 15-year anniversary. It's going to be fucking awesome. Good to meet him there. But on today's episode of the Redman Group, we're going to be talking about his work as an artist. And more generally, we're going to be talking about philosophy, art, and masculinity itself, and how they're all related, interconnected, and how they can make your life better as a man. He's had a wild ride himself as an artist over the past years in America as the culture war has intensified and polarized and all that. I recently saw him too on JLP, Jesse Lee Peterson's Fallen State show, all kinds of fun stuff. Anyway, without further ado, please let me welcome for the first time ever to the Redman Group, Mr. Arthur Kwon Lee. Boom. What's up, man?
Thanks for having me, my friend.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy to talk to you, man. This is the first time we've had to ever been able to chat. Recently, Sean Smith, an old friend and a speaker at 21 Convention, recommended you for the event. And we talked about that and got that set up, like I mentioned. And later we'll do a full announcement. But I really appreciate you speaking at that, coming up later this year. And of course, I was like, hey, I'm going to bring you on the Redman Group. Talk about an unusual topic in the manosphere, it's art. And it's unusual anyone really talks about that outside of maybe Jack Donovan, Tanner Guzzi, and a few others. And a Goldman, too, a good friend of mine. He actually was looking at your work yesterday online. I showed it to him.
Beautiful, man. So I mean, one of the things I want to do immediately here is for your audience is we need to remove the elitist bubble that makes people feel that art is a pretentious thing. Because the reality is that is actually due to postmodernism and the feminist doctrine, because all women are essentially leading the galleries today. And if you look at the history of all the masterpieces and essentially the greatest triumphs of art, it was when men were in charge. They were the patrons, they were all the gatekeepers, they were the ones who were in charge of what was, who was going to get all the funding and who was going to get all the spotlights for art today. And I'm back in the day. And what's happened now is rather than it just being a direct experience, to your common sense where you can experience it. It's this very cerebral, relative world where it's a social justice plateau, basically.
Yeah, so basically, like, all this woke garbage has infected the field of art as well. And I'm fully aware of this. Like, I've studied I'm an amateur, philosopher when it comes to art, but I respect it as a branch of philosophy. One of my favorite books is from Ayn Rand, The Romantic Manifesto. And she viciously or ferociously defended art and as a branch of philosophy and its usefulness to life, human life, and how positive it is for us, and how under attack it is by these fucking weirdos. Even back in her day in the 1950s and 60s and stuff, she saw all this coming. And I think she would love the work that you do and defend it philosophically, to the death.
I think so. Ayn Rand actually talked about this, that the ancients, they regarded reason, good, truth, but also, in addition to those three, was beauty. Yep. And there were aesthetic standards associated with it. The Greeks understood this very clearly. And what's come to be is we live in such a time where decadence is so normalized, and there's a lack of reverence, right? It's a very irreverent time, and what's coupled with that is the art is suffering. How many times have you gone into a gallery and you thought, "What the hell is this? Like, what am I looking at?" Right? And that is the left. That is their aesthetic standards, because it's aesthetic relativity versus universal standards. And men, we require discipline, pedagogical experience, and we need that rite of passage. And what happens is visually that takes form with classical standards. And what's to come to be right now is this. It's basically an extension of a political tool the gallery is seeing today, which is why I've been pretty controversial figure in the New York City art market.
Yeah, talk to me about what happened there, and then after that, I want to get into your history with finding the manosphere, how you found Sean Smith, and everything like that. But what exactly happened? And let me say this: you've been an artist for how long now? A painter?
I've been working in the gallery circa for 10 years.
Okay, I was going to ask you what you thought about experience in the 2000s versus 2010s, but more specifically, I guess, focus on like what exactly happened. Like you had a pretty big, you were very well known in what you did, and then it kind of all fell apart when you came out of the closet as a Trump supporter, right?
Yes. So I was look, let me just say, I had no reason to speak up. You know, I was doing financially pretty well too, just being quiet, going in the studio, producing this caliber of work, dedicating my life's work, right? I'm in the studio basically all hours of the day. So I'm producing this standard of excellence. Um, and I didn't have to speak up. But I think what I've come to see is that, you know, I just got so fed up with like my cup of bullshit got so overflowed essentially, where this anti masculinity, this anti white men, anti patriotism, all of the stuff that I didn't believe in. So I was essentially being a beta male, doing social camouflage, keeping my mouth shut, working with this elitist group. You know, my mouth shut. I'm hanging out with all these critics and then all these rich people, quiet. You know, I'm not gonna show them because if they knew who I really was, I'd be ousted. And I had that feeling, but it got to the point where I was already getting shit from critics for painting what I'm known for. When what I'm known for is resurfacing traditionality and masculinity. You know, I use a lot of religious iconography because God is a masculine force, right? So I'm always painting these kind of spiritual imagery. So that already was making people who critique art from
I'm
ideological
actually gonna,
perspective.
as you speak, I'm gonna actually scroll through some of your artworks here that you have on your website. These are really interesting, man. I was really impressed, and one of them, of course, you used for the Redman group. These are pretty intense, man. Especially like the ones with I mean, they keep going and going. There's a lion one here that's fucking savage. This one's cool as fuck.
Yeah, I'm doing a event with that painting with the Green Berets in July.
Yeah, this is I have no experience designing this kind of art, man, but I love creating beautiful things myself in the way that I do. I'm obviously a big fan of Steve Jobs and, you know, design and these things. And I'm super focused on what I do as an entrepreneur, conventions, videos, and things like this. But being able to see this is really reminds me of Goldman Unleashed a lot. A good friend of mine. He's a photographer, not a painter, but
right.
Yeah. So let's back up a second. Talk to me about, well, first of all, you mentioned the hatred of white people or the white men. So as an Asian American, so to speak, do you consider yourself a white guy now? Because lately they've been trying to lump the Asian guys in with the white guys, which is pretty.
Well, you know, I was on the Fallen State TV with Reverend Jesse Peterson, and who's an amazing person, by the way, and I loved his lecture at the 21 convention when he went on. The whole notion of you know, I've been getting called a white adjacent by some of these people. It's all stupid, man. And I mean, look, when the whole Stop Asian Hate thing came out, I very quickly said to my following that why is it that blacks assaulting Asians based on race is white supremacy, right? That doesn't make sense. And I basically made that clear. And I got a lot of hate because what they're trying to do is they're trying to continue this divide and conquer, you know, this ideologue. And I don't stand for that, man. Like my father is a rooftop Korean, right? So there's a generation war happening right now with the leftists that are Asian American talking to the older generation. The older generation, they used to say, when we come to this country legally, we're going to become Republicans. They used to all say that. And now they're looking at their spoiled kids acting like brats on the streets. Just like when in northern Brooklyn, my studio was in Williamsburg, right? In northern Brooklyn, not too far from here, when the George Floyd riots happened, I went out to the street just to have a look. It's not that far from where I work. And it's a bunch of spoiled white liberals saying Black Lives Matter. And then I said on Reverend Peterson's show, this is the modern blackface. They're using black, because it is. And what happened here is that's what got me so ousted by another two galleries I was working with. And I'm okay with that because, you know what? The man who speaks the truth is a majority. I don't want to get all founding father, but Thomas Jefferson said that the man who speaks the truth and is fearless in that is a majority. And it's such a force to be reckoned with. Because I do believe that, you know, I used to have a studio in Adams Morgan, which is directly in the line of the Women's March in D.C. And I remember watching all these angry, bitter, lesbianic women ranting and raving and all this hate, right?
Hang on, we need to write down lesbianic. I think we just made a word up. I get it.
Hey, ad libs. I was looking out the window at the end, and the next day I go back to work in my studio, and what do? They just cause trouble, some property damage, and nothing changes. But if a fraction of men got together, this is what causes revolutions.
That's right.
So my feeling the whole time was like men have to step up, and the reason why I spoke out, and I did not have to, man. Like I could have just kept my mouth shut and have a career as a painter, but I realized, you know what? I'm hated for who I am in this in this art sphere, right? And then when I was public about my support for the 45th president, it's pretty much game over, right? Yeah.
That's really sad because it's like, I mean, I get it. It's just ridiculous. You're getting kicked out of these art galleries and stuff, and you're suffering financially from it as a direct result. It's cancel culture, is what it is. It's terrible, man. But I do like what you said.
You know what? This is why I appreciate guys like you. Because what you're listen. It's one thing to be hated, right? And I think you and I we know how to endure that and lean into the hate. But I think it's quite another thing. Yeah, it's another thing to be hated and poor. Right? And this is what I'm right now in the transition phase where I didn't know this, my friend, but many of my collectors actually they're already acting with the manosphere. And I was like, there's a reason for this. Because I'm producing work that all my work is essentially collected by alpha males. Some MMA guys, some patriots, a lot of veterans, by the way. And I'm like, there's a reason for this, right? Because I'm not putting a tampon in a teacup and calling it art. Like I'm painting masculine shit. And the reality is, masculinity is the force that produces masterpieces. Mm-hmm. That's another thing. It does not just art.
How dare you say that masculinity builds beautiful art?
Oh my God.
Dude, we're all just people, bro. We're all just people, dude. Why do you gotta fucking hate, man? What about the other 500 genders, dude? You're not even paying attention to them.
I'm an asshole.
Let's back up a second here. You said you got kicked out of art galleries for your vocal support eventually of the 45th president. You didn't need to do that. I understand that. I'm glad that you did. You spoke up and spoke your truth, and you faced the consequences for it. But to the audience who isn't familiar with art galleries and these things, like I've been to a few, especially in Europe and stuff, because I figured they'd be better in Poland than they would in America. And I was right. The ones in like Miami suck. The ones in Warsaw or Krakow, Poland, I went to, this whole museum, this art gallery and stuff is fucking awesome. But the Polish people are very savage. They've been through a lot of trauma for centuries, including throughout the last century. So it was, I think, because of that, it really fuels. They're basically more masculine, healthier culture that has healthier art. That still has a higher respect for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, for the people who don't go to these things often, including myself, barely. What does it mean to get kicked out of an art gallery? Like, what are the exact consequences, and how does that work in your industry?
So, what you're saying is this is important because most people, like the art gallery world, it's very niche in a way. Most people, it's not at the forefront of an artistic medium. It's not stand-up comedy. It's not hip hop, or like mainstream music or Hollywood. It's there's so much money going through it, but the fame and the status of it is not in the face value part of the culture. And what happens is it's just the way I said essentially were these weird conversations where they're not going to say you are a Donald Trump supporter, you are a conservative. They'll kind of wrap it with this package of, we don't think you fit the roster of black excellence, or like I don't know, like some shit like that. It's always something like that. Like we're going in this direction, we're trying to highlight this, and look, that's okay. It's fine, but essentially, I'm just losing my partnerships with these art dealers. That's really what it boils down to. So before I spoke my mind and I stood up for my fellow Americans, and in this case, white Americans, it's not whoever is the one getting hated. I'm going to speak my mind. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't care. It just is what it is. And I was just standing up for my fellow Americans as far as I saw it. But before I did that, I was having multiple shows a year, and it was and again I have, but again, you know what? I'm ready to. I'd rather just cut out the middleman, grind, and figure out my own way. Because I'm at this point where you need to today become uncancelable. You know what I mean? Like that's just the reality. Because the reality, man, the reality of everyone listening right now here is a society is in two different tribes. Call it tribalism. I don't care what you want to say, but the polarity is exasperated so much that there's those who actually want a civil society and stand up for what's right, and we're willing to have a discussion because language is the key to a civil society. It's the antithetical side to violence. And then the other side, if you disagree with them, then they don't even want to hear it. That's just all it is right now. They're barbarians.
Yeah.
And like I can keep my mouth shut, Anthony, and be with the barbarians, and they'll keep giving me money, right? But then I'll lose my soul, And at the end of the day, if you are a good artist, this is a deeper point. If you truly are an artist, you are in many ways religious,
Okay.
And I know you're an atheist, but you know what I mean by religious.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. I ran directly addressed this in the Fountainhead for her hero, Howard Rourke, the architect. Are you familiar with the Fountainhead? Have you read it?
Oh yeah, my dentist gave me this. We always have when I'm waiting for him. We're always he's a base he's a base alpha male that can't say anything.
Based alpha male.
He is. I didn't know that, but in that industry, apparently you can't speak your mind to it. But it's probably all across the board at this point, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think that a true artist, art and religion, if you're truly making stellar work, right? Not from an ideological lens, not from the postmodern universities that are kind of vetting all these, giving all these bachelor, master, fine art degrees to all these women, which is like 80% right now. If you're making work that is not based on any of these fake pillars, it is going to be religious. I always say that the best art can be defined by communication with the unconscious, by excavating the archetypal or symbolic. That is the best art. Because that art, it doesn't matter about your economic background, your education, it hits you. Because it's, you know what I mean? It's like a speaker is able to just linguistically get you going in your gut, right? Same idea with that works visually.
It's very core to the soul, is what you're saying. I think I get it. Yeah. This is powerful, man. This is powerful, yeah. This is these are all things that Iran would talk about as well, that especially you mentioned earlier, putting a fucking tin cup or something as art. All this stupid fucking nonsense. Yeah, I can only imagine the dumb art you've seen in these art galleries, like stupid shit like that, right? Like loads of it.
Loads of it. Loads of
of trash.
Loads of trash. You have to ask yourself, guys, like, how did a banana duct taped to a wall titled "The Comedian" sell for $125,000 at Art Basel in 2019? How does that happen? How does that happen, right? That happens because the Russians say a fish rots from the head down. And what's happening right now is, it's oh my God, my friend sent me this picture. You know what? I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna use this for the lecture. This is a great idea. But my friend sent me a picture of a modern family picture, and it's basically it's a pregnant man who's really a woman, and then the woman who's now a man hugging. It's what I'm saying. It's one of those things. And I looked at that in comparison to a classic photo of a nuclear attack family, which is really, it's crazy. The reason why art is suffering, actually, is the reason why masculinity is suffering, which is connected to the fact that fatherhood is suffering because God is suffering. This is all because of the death of God. The death of God means the removal of fathers, and the removal of fathers means the replacement of the state backed up by academia and the media. And this is why art is suffering, because the gatekeepers in the art world now are backed by the universities. And it's funny because the Frankfurt School, everyone talks about this. John F. Murphy, he wrote a paper on Marxist aesthetics, and all these art university professors basically use that as their foundation. And the idea was that art should not just be something where they're exploring beauty and trying to learn from the masters. Now it's this thing where ideal art is a political tool that it can allocate resources and promote.
I think that's what the average man and the average American, for example, doesn't understand, like how important these issues are. And the fact that these universities and these communists, they weave their way into different parts of culture. It's not just big corporations like Disney and all this other BLM crap, or this woke crap. It also gets into the art galleries, individual artists like you. They're strangling the men and the artists, the masculine men like you, that are actually going to build works of art that could be famous, not just locally where you live, or even, you know, whatever right now. It could be hundreds of years from now. I mean, a painting you create now could be valued 500 years from now, for all you fucking know. And they're trying to, like, to me, that's what they're trying to kill off. Like, the really, you know, Ayn Rand is famous for saying in her book, The Romantic Manifesto, art is fuel for man's soul. It's a quote I'll never forget, because it snapped, it clicked for me why art is so important. Like, why I love, you know, various movies and books of growing up and stuff, you know, works of art, fiction. You know, why was it so impactful to me? Why was it so motivational and influential? How did it influence my thinking in ways I realized and didn't realize unconsciously, you know? And that was what triggered me, you know, to really care about art. Because before that, I had much more, like you're saying, right? The average guy doesn't really care about art. They're like, why is this important? This artsy fartsy bullshit. That's all a bunch of nonsense. I really love what you do and respect it. Let's actually take a look at some of the paintings here. I want to talk about these that you have on your site. So let's go to my favorite one so far. One of the favorites, Lion. What is the backstory on this? What inspired this? It's called Kingdom Come. Looks like, right?
This painting is this was like a semi-commission, actually, this specific painting.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be doing unveiling this in person with Special Forces Green Berets at my regular go to cigar club in Alexandria. And you know, that's where all these blue leaves are tobacco leaves, because these guys, they love to smoke, and they love to you know, they love to you know, kind of in retrospect to that. And you know, there's raising of the flag in the back, but I'm trying to sort of stack this. These are all, everything I do is masculinity. It really is, because anything that's underemphasized, I sort of overemphasize it as a sort of correction.
Sure.
And a real artist should be doing that. You know, that's why actually you and I are the counterculture, right?
Yep.
But that's at the end of the day, you know.
You're a healer.
It's true.
You're healing is what you're doing. A culture that's sick.
Oh, 100%, man. And it's funny because the work you're looking at right in front of you now, something like this, I'll be showing in the gallery and people would be looking at it and admiring it. And I would have hundreds of foot traffic, you know, constantly every day inside these gallery spaces. But once you're vocal about it, it shows you the power of a man speaking. They don't want to hear it, because just the image, it's still open to interpretation. But I mean, I'm pretty bold. It's pretty obvious what I'm trying to denote, right?
Yeah.
but still.
I see. Hang on. Here's what I see. Just as a novice, I have no experience reading art. I see an alpha male fucking lion. I see these very cool, leaves or plants in the background, and I see a patriotic, the raising of the flag for what was the fucking island? Iwo Jima, right, or something. My history, I'm not history buff either, but this is powerful. This reeks to me, screams of patriotism and masculinity, and I don't see a beta male.
That's what this painting is about.
Yeah, fuck yeah. It feels bold, and it does feel masculine looking at it. Yeah, especially the way the colors interact too, man. Like this contrast like this.
Yeah, if you were to describe my paintings, even you'd see multiple lists of my works. It's really, I will show intensity and boldness and masculinity, because those are the things that they don't want people to do today. And that's why I'm like, if you really, anyone who here is a creative and actually is an artist too, you're supposed to push back against the dominant narrative.
Yep.
That's the thing. Let's take out the big picture of what is right. Just as an artist, as a creative, you're supposed to push back against the authority, right? And of course, that can go wrong too. But right now, at this moment, the dominant narrative is anti-white male, anti-masculinity, anti-patriotism. You know, I mean, it's all collectivism,
anti-America,
anti-family, man. It's all about the family for me,
dude,
man. And
you have to meet Goldman Unleashed, man. He's gonna be like your new soul brother.
Oh, cool.
You really. I'll send you a speech from him at 21 Convention. You'd really get along with him. I met up with him in New York back in 2019, before COVID and all the fucking stupid garbage. He lives near. He used to live. He moved now to upstate New York, I think, but he's still around there. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Please.
He's familiar too with all these art galleries. Like the things you're saying are like I could pull them right out of his mouth too. Like 100%. He hates all this fucking. He's lived in New York for like 15, 20 years, so he saw this collapse into this postmodernist fucking garbage, and he hates it. Like you, we
have to fight back, man. We have to fight it back. So I'm glad there's a photographer even doing this too, because photography used to be such a beautiful medium too. In galleries today in Manhattan are showing photography in this weird, blurry lens of like, trashy scenes. It's nothing beatific anymore. It's nothing about that.
Talk to me about this painting. This one's titled "Kissing Through the Ages." So I see influences of psychedelic things, maybe like mushrooms here, and I see romanticism here. What's going on here?
So these are all different. The most notable artistic renditions of Kiss's art historically, and I'm sort of stacking these together. And one reason why I love showing this side of me too is because people like to assume that toxic masculinity is simply a poison without understanding that toxic masculinity produces this kind of adoration. And it's important. It's important. It's like when I speak to my woman here, she knows where I'm coming from when I'm doing all um, this upright masculine behavior. I've educated her to the point where she can appreciate it and she understands that if he's not upright in his masculinity, it's going to resurface in a negative manifestation, which is really what rap and hip hop is. And this is a part of being upright in your masculine nature. Not being a simp, not being a beta male, not being a cuck, but being a man who has this power and can yield it with a woman who is appreciative.
Well, you also mentioned rap and hip hop, so you also mean like thug crap, thug energy kind of
stuff.
Yeah,
all that beta stuff. They're just competing against women's sexuality. That's the odd thing about it, unconsciously.
Yeah, it's sad. It seems to me less retarded slightly than the like absolute soy boys that are just completely effeminate. But
it's definitely less retarded.
Yeah, it's a damaged form of masculinity. It's like an unhinged alpha. He's just like a total loose cannon. No guidance. People I guess growing up, they're raised basically the alpha males, but they became alpha by being raised by a single mother. So they're just completely like aimless and they just fuck around, do stupid shit, get in trouble. Yeah. This one's fucking cool. Yo, what is this one, dude? Parabellum.
This is called Parabellum. You know what Parabellum means, right?
I mean, fuck, it was used in the John Wick 3 recently.
John Wick, yeah. Okay, check this out. That right there could be like Parabellum. That could be the name of like if you had a band, that would be your band name, my friend. Parabellum means if you want peace, you must be ready for war.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's
sexy. Yeah. That's sexy right there.
I love it. It's conflict, like Jack Donovan, one of our speakers, a friend of mine, says violence is golden. And through that, you could interpret that in some ways conflict itself is golden. And that means war and peace and fighting, to achieve life-affirming values, in my view. This is awesome, I mean, this is fucking dope.
Thank you, brother.
Look at this fucking line.
These are all basically very, intense forms of war or war creatures or iconographies just stacked facing, flooding into each other. And it's funny that we talked about this because my father told me actually that what he learned at that moment when he was on those rooftops is that only thing that will beat a evil person who uses violence is a good person with more violence.
So wait. Was your dad literally a rooftop Korean?
Him and his friends were like they weren't. I don't know if they weren't like on the roofs. You know what I'm saying? But they were in that LA riot culture moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like their buddies were on the roof. I get it. Yeah, that's fine.
But cool, they were that community.
Yeah.
It's funny because during that time there was actually this big Korean radio host in LA for like the Korean community there. He actually did an announcement. He said, all the fathers in the Korean community, Koreatown is like pretty much burned down. We're going to meet at this gun store.
God.
Crazy shit. And then the law, the immigration attorney was there. And then he spoke to them. He goes, listen, guys, in this country, if worse comes to worse, you can arm yourself to protect your family and your business and livelihood.
Yep.
And then the Korean gun owner, he goes, listen, either way, if you don't do something, they're going to come into my store and take all the guns and it'll all be out in the streets. So what are you going to do about it, right? And then they basically doubled down, grabbed the guns, and made it very visible on purpose on the roofs. A lot of them weren't even shooting. Just the threat is enough.
Yeah.
Just the threat is enough. A lot of them were just kind of holding the guns visibly like this, away from their bodies so they know, you know what I mean? A little distance, like walking around, and they're like, all right, we're not going in that direction. But I got to say that those three generations, they were Vietnam vets, Korean war vets, and then the mandatory military service. So it was like at that point, those are patriots. Those are patriots.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Dude,
they're not even
Koreans
Korean at that point.
Rooftop Koreans are the best, some of the best Americans for sure, man. Patriots, yeah, legendary status.
Yeah, they're gangsters.
This is awesome, though. Yeah, Parabellum. This is fucking savage, dude. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, that's huge painting too. It's a the big ones are.
If I had a couple million setting around, I would just like buy this from you and stick it on the wall. Yeah.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, this is really cool, man. What is this white one in the middle? Is this like a Princess Monaco reference, or what is this?
No, yeah, people have thought that. So it's a white stag, flat in contrast, which is a very masculine symbol in many different cultures, especially Nordic. But it's just, I wanted it to sort of stand out in contrast. So the only two things that are flat white is that masculine stag walking in its in its own comfort, and then to the right top, the sword of Damocles is kind of hanging there.
Yeah.
So it's playing with that theme a little bit. Where those are the two white things, because the idea that anyone who has a credibility of a man, right? The credibility of a man, it comes from having power but not abusing it.
Yep.
Right.
I like the elephant. I like this. What is this down here? This elephant thing. This elephant lady.
That's Ganesha.
Yeah.
So Ganesha is would always play the flute when all the other wrathful spirits are at war and all that.
Dude, that's savage.
Yeah.
That elephant is my spirit animal, bro. For reasons I can't tell you on air, but I like this dragon. This is like a dragon ear or something too. This is fucking savage, man. I really like this.
Thank you, brother. It's a lot of time, man. It's there's a passionate side, right? There's the organic side of actually painting and the context of wow. I just
How long did this take to paint?
Yeah, it's certain styles require less time, but my particular style, because there's so many layers, it's like frankly, especially the scale of the one we're looking at, Parabellum right here. If you zoomed into any of those are like individual paintings in and of themselves. Because one of those figures are like bigger than me already, right? It's a big painting. So they're basically like, it's like 50 Mona Lisas in one, that kind of thing.
Damn. So, but this, you're measuring it, but to give a ballpark, you would measure painting this in weeks or months or years?
This would definitely take a couple of months for sure. For sure. Yeah. I mean, this is a big one. I mean, this one was, I think this is like 4.5 months.
Wow. That is really, that's really impressive, man. I love it. I love I spend, like months and even a year sometimes working on a conference. And of course, it's hard work. And it's art to me in my own way, even though like philosophically not be categorized as art, obviously. But this is so much more intricate and colorful, and I love it, man. It's really cool.
Thank you so much.
In another life, I would love to do stuff like this, man. We'll see someday, or even try to do something like this, right?
Pick up a brush, brother. Come on, it's important to have something just for the flow. It's like my brother. He's very base himself. Like he wears a MAGA hat in New York, which is dangerous to do. Because I did it.
I wore my.
I did it too. But he discovered like certain like just something artistic. There's fulfillment to it. It doesn't. You don't have to be in this business because you don't want to, probably, right? But it's definitely creates balance.
Oh, talk to me about this one, All and Everything.
Oh, that's one of my favorite works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the top, these are all positioned very specifically. The top region, these are all celestial or sacred things that men have to stand up for, essentially. So there's different depictions of gods, and they're all protective gods. They're good gods. They're the positive spirits, and then even angels, right? And in the middle end, there's all these warrior type of themes here, from Beowulf in the middle there, to Achilles, to Kim Yu-shin, to these medieval knights, and the bottom is the underworld. So you have the devouring mother, you have Yamantaka, Medusa. You have
Jesus.
Yes.
I know a few Medusas myself.
Oh, there's a lot out there today. They're called single mothers. Yep.
Even beyond. So many Medusas everywhere, man.
Yeah, Caligula's
cool,
boldly there in the middle too.
Yep.
It's so important. It's not even. I don't regard it as optional. Like people don't realize the investment they're missing out on. It doesn't have to be me. I'm not pushing myself. Any artist that you like doesn't have to be me. Put one piece of art in your home. You are putting something symbolic that will placate into your entire house because your walls are bare, and now you're putting something at eye level. And it's just forcing that energy into your home. So, when I started dating my girl, she was like, she never realized how her energy and mood changed and her life actually changed the moment she had all this art on her walls. Like she just felt her level go up.
Well, you're surrounding yourself with greatness and with creativity and intelligence and passion and power. Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you about. Let me back up to this one we looked at earlier. So how do you choose, or what was the decision-making process for colors in this? What does the red represent? Blood, power, fire? What is this?
So there's a couple things. I don't want to bore people too much, but there's the formalistic technical side to actual painting, which is everything is contrast, right? Everything is contrast. So including the color wheel, right? So what I'll do is let's say you have a pin, like you have a pin of like 50 orange balls in there. If I put one blue ball in there, where's your eye gonna go? The blue ball, right? So my whole thing is, I always want to create that contrast, so that the image vibrates more. So the blue and the red, it's a very good composition because they're not too different, so it's not gonna seem too much dissonance, but they're off put enough that you're gonna notice that they're pushing and pulling a little bit, but. Definitely, I actually painted the raising of the flag in the back first, and that has to be red. That has to show the blood and then the sacrifice, right?
Okay.
And at that point, the colors kind of played out, and then because I painted that red, of course the line has to be red because of two central figures, and then the blue background, beautiful tobacco leaves on the side. Perfect, brother. It just flows from there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about this one next. This is the one I actually used for I grabbed it for the thumbnail, obviously for the Redman group today. I love the tiger in the metaverse. I love it. This is really. I put your head actually over this guy. I kind of like put you in here. I was like, here's Arthur.
Yeah.
With the and then you're surrounded by lions and gods and shit.
Yeah. So this is called Apex. So all the animals you see there are apex predators.
Okay.
And the top is Sun Tzu, author of The Art of War. To the left of the line is William Wallace. To the right, top right area, is Hagashige, a samurai. You have Leonidas and you have Kim Il-sung. They're basically like the top generals or warriors that are Genghis Khan there too, and Caesar. As you're going through, I'm seeing more. These are just the most feared and regarded warriors throughout history, stacked with these apex predators. But for me, the mood of this work, I was trying to denote also. It's important for men to start engaging into the state of mind of being active rather than reactive. And this work is just so in your face, and this tiger is screaming at you. And this is actually sold to a collection in Canada now.
Wow.
Hopefully Justin Trudeau sees it and it triggers him.
Yeah. I can imagine feminists would just hate this kind of stuff or jerk off to it, one or the other. But
probably secretly jerk off to it.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. This is very masculine painting. This one. The scream and all of it, man. Just it's brutal. Even if
as men, we need to I think that you need to put work up. You need to put art up that will bring the right type of energy that will benefit your life. And for me, I think it's important for men to put something that represents that tension that we are in today. And masculinity is the most hated thing today. There's no two ways about it. I mean, this is why I told you, we are the counterculture, man. If we were the punk rock days and we're wearing a leather jacket, today that's a MAGA hat. Today that you're coining this like no one other, by the way, which I appreciate. You know what I mean? I was actually gonna gonna get a "Make Art Great Again" hat just to match you on this today. But
you should.
you know,
You should. Oh, I'll
I'm
make a
gonna. No. I mean, I was gonna get on it, but the fastest shipping wasn't gonna make today when I thought of it yesterday.
Yeah.
But
Dude, let me know
yeah,
your.
man.
I have a website. I make them all the time. Obviously, let me know your address after the show, and I'll send.
Okay.
Send
Okay.
you,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. You should definitely make it. You should pimp that 100%. Make art great again. That's not my thing. I'll support it. But if you wear that and get that going, you should walk around the art galleries in that hat. Just fucking
you know,
everyone off.
I even had number one. I'm probably gonna do that. That sounds hot. I'm gonna be your Asian doppelganger.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I was speaking so much about my conservative support, I even had Antifa come to my studio once,
Wow.
and yeah, I mean, luckily it wasn't like a big mob, but they're all pussies, man. I mean, basically they shot this fat sphere. He was literally a circle. He shot fireworks at my studio window, and I go down there,
Wow.
and he's running, right. He has his son with him. And my thinking right there was, he's using. This is the problem with a lot of conservatives. Actually, we need to edit this. Otherwise, we'll have nothing to conserve. Which is that they're taking. I'm going to give your viewers no choice but to speak up. We're speaking up, but let me tell you why. Because if you don't speak up, they hate you. If you do speak up, they hate you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're civil with them, your strategy right now is hoping that they'll have a modicum of civility and stop themselves, but someone else in that side will. That's not going to happen. You need to speak up, stand up for what's right, and the reality is numbers do work, and the more of us do it, the more oscillation there'll be. So when I went outside, I was gonna go down to kick his ass. I got third in the nation in Taekwondo, by the way, and I'm like, I got a lot of ranks under my belt actually. So I was gonna go.
Some of these, some of this alpha energy right here. Yeah, I'm guessing you have it. If you're exerting this in your painting, I'm sure that you have some of this in real life too. You wouldn't be able to paint this otherwise.
Oh yeah, for sure. An artist is going to represent whatever it's their character they're really showing. I went down to kick this guy's ass, and he's running with his kid, and I couldn't help but think when I got back up, he knew if he had his kid with him, I wasn't going to beat his ass. Like, I couldn't help but think that, because why would you bring your kid? Because a conservative they're encroaching on you, but with your civility. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So we have to be careful, because reliability is scarce, I understand, but we need to use our civility needs to be specified, because politeness is going to kill us, because a lot of politeness is just political correctness.
Yep. Yeah, and you mentioned the child. I mean, there's this old saying that dictators and tyrants always hide behind children, and it's sick. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Yeah, they do.
Wow, that's deep.
And that's a very low-powered little tyrant. Some asshole Antifa fucking loser, but that's the exact same principle, basically. Whether it's Stalin or some douchebag throwing fireworks at your building, it's the same principle. Yeah, it's disgusting. It's sick. People hiding behind children like that.
Yeah.
Let's
you know what, man?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I want to shift some gears back to the manosphere. I wanted to actually find out how you discovered the manosphere, how you discovered Sean Smith, how the manosphere has influenced you, what your thoughts are on it. I'm not too familiar with that quite yet, how you entered the space. You obviously found it somehow, so I'm curious to know.
Yeah. Well, Anthony, I've been actually listening to you while I was painting often. Wow. But I think what you said you regard your setting up the convention as art form. It is an art form. We're using different mediums, right?
Yeah.
And in my medium, what I'm known for is, this is what I'm known for, is painting masculine imagery and religious iconography. That's what I'm known for doing already. Mm-hmm. So hearing people doing it vocally and publicly with their actual words, it means a lot to me, because I'm excavating this symbolically in my studio every day. So if someone's doing it publicly rather than privately, now I'm doing it publicly. But my point is, beforehand, I wasn't doing it publicly, actually. Even if my work is plastered on gallery walls and everyone's walking and seeing it, It's not the same as my face saying, "Hey, man up." It's not the same thing, right? And so the manosphere is always actually here cerebrally, but I just had to become public about it, and I think also
Like, when did
just
you
feel.
first find 21 Studios, 21 Convention, Redman Group stuff? Or was that
Oh
entry point to
man,
the Manosphere?
I think it was several years ago. I can't
Okay.
indicate a time, but I, I've been listening to a lot of content for whether it's um Elliot Hull, Stefan Molyneux,
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson, Jesse Lee Peterson too. Uh, all of
Yeah.
these people who just are basically standing here for what's right. Yourself
Do you know?
included.
Have you talked to Elliot yet? He's gonna love these kind of paintings, dude. This is right up his alley, man. Like 1,000%.
No,
Yeah.
but we
Me
spoke a
and
little bit on we spoke a little bit on Instagram, briefly, but I gotta follow up with that guy. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that guy actually. I would love to work out with him too because I'm trying to get my squat larger.
Yeah. He just moved to Central Florida near me. He lives about 30, 40 minutes away, I think. And he'll be at 21, of course, again. He'll be there. You get to meet him. Yeah, this October.
That's amazing. And I'm also I want to be and I guess I really am the only one, so it seems to be the case. I want to be the fine artist for the Manosphere. I want to be
Yeah.
that guy because the gallery scene, they're too cowardly. Even the good ones out there. There's gallery art dealers I know. I had sushi with one recently. We're sitting down eating. He's like, "I love President Trump. I agree with everything you're saying, but I can't do it publicly."
Yeah, I hate that, man. I hate when people do that. It's like, come on, bro. Man, you're like one step away, dude. Just fucking pull the trigger, bro. Did your balls drop yet? Come on, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, be revolutionary, man. I mean, the
Yeah.
thing is, ignorance is arrogance, and I think we're polite, which is a testament to our character, but we need to reserve that for those who respect and appreciate you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like that's really what it is, and the reason why I just realized I need to become the artist for this community is because um I mean they don't like that I'm a masculine artist, and it sounds
Yeah.
cliche, and it felt cartoonish when it was happening. When it was happening, getting these emails, having these conversations, when it was happening, I couldn't actually like register it at first because it was so weird for me because I've been doing this for 10 years. So
Yeah.
when that happened, I was like, wait, really? Like I thought it was a lot of times it's hyperbolically dramatic a little bit and you're doing that for like pop effect with all these people I listen to, but I know they're still speaking truth. But
Mhm.
when it happened to me, I'm like, oh my god, fuck this
Yeah.
shit, fuck
Well,
this
you're
shit, man.
Asian. You at least you're Asian American, whatever. Like you actually have some minority woke, defensive points basically, and even that wasn't enough to stop that, which is kind of amazing. You know.
Yeah, but you know what? A lot of a lot of Asian community, they're so tired of this feminist shit, though.
Yeah.
Although I mean, I shouldn't say that because I don't know, I guess we're a little split in that regard. But just to wrap up with why I got really active with the madness here is I was noticing that um all of these problems that I've been noticing in our culture and amongst I grew up with so many people who was raised by single mothers too, and
Yeah.
this is a story that everyone here can relate with.
Mhm.
I've noticed that um, because once masculinity is out the window, everything suffers, and I think that I was studying my own life, and I noticed that women and men define evil differently. That's
Yeah.
actually what it boiled down to, actually, too. I had a very deep conversation with my sister, and who is damn honest for a woman. And
Yeah. That's a rare thing for women, at least. Well, in general, but yeah, particularly women today. They're focused on emotions, not like external reality. You know.
yeah, well, I think it's men define evil as a divergence from a set of prioritized abstract principles,
Okay.
and women define evil as that which is blocking their immediate desires. And that click that clicked to my mind. And once that clicked to me, I realized I'm a part of the problem because I'm not saying anything. That's
Yeah.
really what it was. I realized I'm a part of the problem because I just realized this. I grew up single mother generation. I grew up all of this shit being so obvious and prevalent to me. I'm like, I'm not saying anything though, but it's all clicking to me. You know, my mouth is still shut. You know what I mean? So I'm like, this isn't right, man. I'm painting masculine imagery. I'm all about supporting other men. I do believe the solution in not just my profession in art, but greater society is masculinity as a force. So I know all this, and I'm quiet, and I'm like, I gotta just ante up, and that's all it came down to. It's almost like the boiling point. You know what I mean?
I get it, man. I respect it a lot that you realize that and you took steps to correct course on that in your life. It takes balls, man. It's a turning point that you'll probably never forget the rest of your life. I was fortunate enough to just find a lot of good ideas and good philosophers at a young age and good men in the manosphere. And as a result, I've always just kind of done whatever the fuck I wanted to do. And that was a very good precursor to the culture war that we're seeing now in America, you know, back in the 2000s when it was still kind of quiet compared to what we see now. And I love seeing it though, man. People, you know, step up, make the right decision, you know. I mean, that guy you went to sushi with, you know, he's that position now, but maybe he'll watch this and, you know, 6 months from now or 6 weeks from now, he changes his mind. He's like, you know what? Arthur could fucking do it. I can fucking do it. We had fucking sushi. I'm going to fucking speak the fuck up or whatever, you know?
Exactly. Especially how much that total was, man. You've got to ante up. But you know what, man? It's interesting because I think the fear that a lot of listeners who are anonymously listening and they love what you're saying, but they're quiet, which is a lot of your audience. You know, because you could be anyone to the internet, but it takes real balls to do it in real life, right?
Yep.
And I think that let me tell you all something, okay? Let me encourage you all because my worry was your worry. I was worried that if I speak my mind, then I'm gonna go into the dark abyss and be alienated and castigated. You will be by the people who aren't even your friends in the first place. But you will get a lot of people who will reach out to you, and it's way outnumbered. You'll be surprised. You'll get so much more love than hate. But I will say they'll be more quiet about it though. But the numbers themselves for me, when I showed people, it's like it sounds like I'm a fag. When I came out as a pro man person, Jesus. I got way more love, way more. I got like hundreds of emails, so many messages, and then I got a lot of hate. But it was not. You'll be surprised. The percentages are not the same, you know. But it's just that they're just that small majority is just so vocal. Minority is so vocal, but you should feel encouraged because honestly, when people tell me that they're afraid to speak up and stand up for masculinity and conservative values, I kind of have to mock them because I work in the most left-leaning art industry that is literally run by feminism, Black Lives Matter, you know, and I'll say things like there's an opening at in Washington D.C. This big art networking thing, and I remember this is before I was like in the manosphere. I said I believe the three my work I'm trying to dismantle feminism, multiculturalism, and Islam, and then everyone was like, "Who the fuck is this guy? Get him out of the room!" Right? But
he's a white man in an Asian disguise.
Whatever, man. I mean, Jesse gets the same thing, you know. Jesse gets the same thing. Jesse Lee Peterson, but Jesse. I mean, what we all understand though is that you know it's you know the whole yin and yang symbol.
Yeah.
We're just on the right side. I don't want to just say it like that, but that is the case because it's individual versus the collective. That's really what it is. It's spray and pray strategy versus delayed gratification for investment to your family and children. There's aesthetic relativity versus universal standards. It's all this, spreading it, or it's going upwards. It really is. And we're all about that cohesion because it is a man's responsibility, his birthright, to stand up for what's right and have that social cohesion. We have to watch over that because the woman's job was to maintain the family. Ours is to maintain greater society. And we have forgotten that. Because when you just look at a dad, when you just look at a classical model of a dad, that's what he's doing. He's out there coming back, bringing resources, and you go, oh shit, and then Ma's here watching over the food and
Well, he's not even just bringing back resources. He's out there most likely building things or doing things that are constructive, that are not destructive. Broken window fallacy, crap like that. Obviously not that, but really doing things that are positive and fruitful and productive. I do with my conventions, a lot of it, I've said, a couple things about it you might find interesting. So I mentioned that I view it as a form of art for myself, right? Being an entrepreneur, and this is the method that I choose to paint. What I do with the conventions, though, is actually I'm only painting directly a little bit myself through speaking. Mostly what I'm doing is building a canvas, and then I'm inviting painters, the speakers, to paint on it themselves. I actually said this verbatim in my keynote speech at the 22 convention for women, because the media saw me as like a dictator. They thought, for whatever reason, they thought I was prescribing like curriculum for the speakers to just vomit like zombies. I'm like, this is the opposite of how I operate. I'm extremely like libertarian in that sense. There are a few limitations. You can't endorse feminism, communism, crap like that, racism. Like legit racism is fucking hating people based on the way they're born. But beyond that, you can speak about whatever you want once you're invited. The ultimate authority to speak is up to you as a speaker, and I force it that way. I'll help a speaker guide. I'll guide a speaker if they have questions or they want to ping ideas off me, of course. But at the end of the day, I want them to be their own contributing artist to a larger painting, which is the 21 convention or 22 convention or the fatherhood event, the patriarch edition. And I love doing that.
I've always felt that about you. I've always felt that it's like you're we'll use art language. You're like a curator. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like you're allowing the artist, but you're like a free market curator in that regard. To use fine art language.
more crudely, I'm like a Pokemon trainer, and you guys are my Pokemon. I'm like collecting.
There
Pokemon.
You go.
Go battle. Go destroy feminism. Go Sean.
Yeah, but I mean, but I'm sure this is something you know. Yeah. Everyone that like I've gotten to the point where if someone's blacklisted or hated, I immediately am a fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at that point now. It's like if somebody's hated and doxxed, I'm into it, and that's actually that's a big part of how Sean, how we got acclimated here.
Yeah.
Because like I told you, so many people were reaching out to me, and a number of the guys who came to my studio recently were a part of this community brother called Liminal Order.
Oh yeah, I know what it is, Jack Murphy.
Yeah, and then that evening, man, I just felt what masculinity done right is. Everyone was in shape, came on time, meant what they said, and their words were bond. And they're all talking about how we can fight back. I'm like, damn, that's the move. And I joined that night without even knowing. Actually, I didn't even know that much about the organization or anything like that. For me, it's just, whether it's Bond, whether it's 21 Convention, whether it's Own Benjamin's Bears, whether it's Liminal Order, these are all clans, and we're all fighting. It's like whoever is William Wallace, we're all different Scots fighting the English.
Yeah. I view the manosphere seriously as a distinct. It's a large movement, an emerging movement of men and fathers, but really it's distinct tribes. You have the Migtad tribe, the Red Pill tribe, you have the pickup artist dating coach tribe, you have the men's rights, you kind of other ones forming like these fatherhood patriarch guys and stuff. You see 21 Convention Patriarch, for example, as an illustration of that. It's happened the past couple of years, whereas 10 years ago that was not necessary. I think in the manosphere there wasn't a demand for it yet, a hunger. But yeah, it's basically these tribes that are distinct but have common interests, common purposes, and common values essentially. Like I'm trying to define, for example, the manosphere, its entire purpose, as a positive future for men, boys, and fathers, which I think is the most universal and fundamental thing that we can all agree on and we should all fight for.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it should be designed for. Women can do their own thing too, and feminism is the opposite of that, of course, but men and boys and fathers need a movement to push these issues forward for them. There's specific interests to fight for. And that's what this community is doing, not only politically with the men's rights, but culturally, socially, in relationships and personally. Self-improvement, these things. So yeah, it's fucking.
This is all this is all religious. This is God's work.
So wait, are you a Christian, or what religion do you subscribe to? Multiple, maybe. I know you have the Million Mask of God thing. I saw. That's where I got the title.
That sounds very blasphemous, right? Yeah, but so I'm a non-denominational Christian with a sprinkle of Buddhism in there.
Okay.
I think it's
cherry on top.
Well, you know what it is. It's kind of a I'm pretty appreciative of what Greek reason, and the Christian culture together has done for Western society.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people I'm an American painter, right? I'm here, and I'm appreciative of that. But I think also my psychedelic experiences have made me also really relate to Buddhist principles too. So I'm this sort of the strange fusion of the two in many ways.
I'm pulling
That's a weird
up,
answer, I know.
yeah, for sure, man. I get it. Yeah. I knew immediately when I saw this. I'm like, yep, psychedelics. Yep.
Yeah, I had my face. I had my face.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You really get along with Goldman, man. I'm telling you, man. He's like your brother, a brother from a past lifetime.
Really?
Yeah. I sent him your work last night. He was looking at it, and I think he wants to meet. I need to read the text he said back.
Oh, listen. Yeah. If any of the crew is in New York City, my studio is very loungy. I don't know if you like cigars. We can just.
Oh wait, dude. You should meet Pat Stedman. Yeah, Pat Stedman lives up there. Wait, can you go there? He's getting investigated by the FBI for that riot bullshit on the 6th. He was famous for this because he's a dating coach, and then the FBI fucking arrested him. It was all over the fucking news and shit. But he's a super cool guy, and I think he would love what you're doing. He's not an artist per se, but he's a coach, and you'll get along well. I think you get along really well. And he lives in New York.
Well, you know, I would love to meet anyone in this community because what I see in common, the universality with everything we both said. I named these different clans, you named these different ideologies associated with the clans, but what they all share is making men adopt responsibility. You know, this is a bit. This is. I mean, like I'm not a MGTOW guy. I'm not a playboy. I'm really kind of for me, my deepest pleasure is not about getting laid. It's actually being in the studio doing what I love. Like I'm a painter, artist first. I really I do spend I spend like 5 to 8 hours. Yeah. Well, I mean it's like I probably don't know pickup lingo or any of that.
But it doesn't matter because if you communicate what you just said to women effectively, it just gets them wet. I mean, this is the ultimate. Like, I don't give a fuck about banging you because I don't care. I care about this, and that just makes them. That just drives them nuts.
Yeah, I've never had a problem. I've never had a problem with women in that department, but I've also never cared about it. I've always been my obsession is trying to make a composition better than my last painting. It really is like that's like I'm like competing aesthetically. I really am, and there's a tunnel vision to that.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, well, it's very masculine to keep self-improving over time, never stop, keep going and going and going until you die. Now, I did want to ask you though, what painters in the past historically have influenced you? Are there any big names that the audience should know that have influenced you?
So it's funny because for me, it's art historically speaking, all the classics, the Greeks, but also all the artists who were really supported by patrons that are like generals of the Medici family or Pope Louis, which is Raphael, Michelangelo, Da Vinci, all of these classical masters, all the Ninja Turtles, them too. but
these are all the Ninja Turtles.
It's funny. I asked one of my best friend. He's a computer programmer. He knows nothing about art, and then we're just talking. We're drinking one night, and then I'm like, who's your favorite artist? And he said, and then I swear to God, he said Vincent Van Gogh, and the 4 Ninja Turtles. I'm like, you don't even know how to say Van Gogh's name, you know?
Van Gogh.
No, but anyways, but I mean, the Phobos also were artists that really inspired me. But I will say, I'm a little bit uncommon amongst this, I guess, uncommon industry of artists because I'm much more inspired by contextual writers and philosophers. That almost inspires me more because I have all this technical training. I have the tool belt to render, color theory, value, contrast. I understand all of this technical prowess, but I almost have, like, you have to learn the rules to break the rules, right? So I have the skill set, but really what gets me going is Alan Watts, G.K. Chesterton, Joseph Campbell, the archetypal language, Carl Jung, Nietzsche, these guys really get me thinking about these ideas. And once that gets going, then I sort of excavate historical context, and I want to animate these ideas with my brush with a modern lens. And so I'm much more of a contextual artist in a sort of strange way.
Yeah, this is awesome. This has been a lot of fun talking to you about these issues, man.
Oh yeah, man, this has been a pleasure, brother. Listen,
it's a big change from typical Redman Group or other issues. This is the first time we've ever like completely focused an episode on art, so I figured it'd be a good switch. Well,
it's also because usually if you brought an artist, you'd probably like talk about his feelings and how his mom would beat him and
I would never
bullshit like that. And you don't got time for that.
Yeah, I don't got time for that. Yeah, I wouldn't have him on the show. Exactly. I knew this conversation would go well just from talking to you and seeing your paintings. It was obvious to me, like, again, I'm not a painter, other formal artist, but I really respect creativity and intelligence and beauty. And I could tell from what you're doing. That's probably why Sean Smith gets along with you too. He's very much into this kind of romanticism and these things and the masculinity, obviously. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say, you just said romanticism, and it's important because conservatives always talk about taking the culture back. Mm-hmm. So Andrew Breitbart, we all know how he says politics is downstream from culture.
Yep.
Michael Savage has been saying the same thing. Dennis Berger has been saying the same thing. So many people have been saying this because those are wise men, and they understand that majority of people, especially on the fence, they do not learn with data, numbers, pie charts, or polls, or anything like that. They learn from the language and the culture that is in front of them. Like most people, they go home and they'll watch Hollywood. They're not gonna. No, but you know what I'm saying? It's most people they're programmed.
Yeah, dude, I haven't had cable TV in probably like fucking 12 years or something. So
you don't need it.
No, of
course. But you know what? So conservatives, the way we take back, we might need to make a new conservative party, by the way. But the way we take back the culture is, it's simply a matter of terms, right? And we just have to understand that real romanticism, we need to start from the core, the definition here. Real romanticism is traditionality. That's what it boils down to. Being a romantic is being nested in tradition. That is the point, because it really was before the postmodernists in the Frankfurt School took it over. Because our schools were atelier schools. It was really like a trade school type of discipline. And then once our universities came into the picture, it was really just a leftist indoctrination center. But this is before Frankfurt School came in with these essays. But it's important to understand, because I appreciate the sentiment of what the Daily Wire is trying to do when they started this whole art thing about, starting their movies, but you can't help but cringe a little bit. There's like scenes, it's almost like it's a scene that's like the bad guys are coming, and he grabs his gun and goes, "This is my American right." You're like, oh, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you're being too. It's like if I started painting American Eagles and Statue of Liberties and only use red, white, and blue, and you'd be like, your art is, you don't want the art to be touched by this kind of ideologue. You want the artist to be the artist, but you just want to be open about your conservative support. That's it.
It's not great. It reminds me, what you're saying reminds me of like Prager University. They'll make like a pro masculinity video, but it's nowhere near what you see in the manosphere. Not even manosphere light. It's just weak. It's like, toxic masculinity is BS, and masculinity is a good thing. But then they get into the reasons, and it's like men are just subservient to women. It's like, come on, get the fuck out of here. Like, you started off strong and you just drop the ball fucking immediately. So they mean well, genuinely, but they're
okay. We both are making the same diagnosis, but the problem with conservatives, the reason why I said we might need to start a new conservative party is because they just don't go deep enough. They don't go far enough. They half-ass it because the polite shit. Being polite is gonna kill you. You know what I mean?
The Republicans are filled with fucking the left is like swamped with beta males, but the Republican Party is filled with fucking beta males too. These hyper polite fucking beta males that they're living in fucking la la land. They have no understanding of how massively the culture has changed. Women, birth control, feminism, single motherhood, abortion, like they're living in fucking la la land. So I know you're saying it sucks.
Yeah.
The MAGA stuff, though, is promising. I mean, the MAGA stuff's been pretty hardcore as a new wing of the Republican Party, and Trump's done a good job taking it over. I mean, it's not perfect, but he's pushing hard, man.
You think he's gonna come back hard?
Oh yeah, he'll do everything. I mean, dude, Trump loves being an underdog. Number one, that's number two. It's where he's best. He's not best being on top like that. He's best making a comeback. He's best making a comeback. He wrote a fucking book called The Art of the Comeback. Now, if it's logistically, voting wise, if you know what I mean, possible in 2024 to win, I think he's going to find a way. And he's pissed now too. I mean, can you imagine how fucking angry he is? You know, given the irregularities, let's say, that happened in 2020, he must be really fucking angry and planning his revenge. That's what I would do if I was him right now. How do I win in 2024 and fuck over as many people as possible? How do I destroy all my enemies? What else is he gonna do? He'll play golf, but that's just to chill. The rest of the day,
no. Trump doesn't retire. He's gonna he's gonna do some crazy shit when he's like 90. Like he's not. That guy's not gonna stop.
And he's got Ron DeSantis, I think, at his back this time as a really powerful VP that I think he can trust, unlike Pence. You know, Pence was always, you know, I was never against Pence, but it's clear he was never like a super hardcore MAGA guy. And in the end, I think that was shown. And so he won't be obviously running with Trump again in 2024. But I think
he's probably there for the optics for the, you know.
DeSantis, though, is a win for like a lot of just basic political things, optics, you know, winning Florida, blah, blah, blah. But he's also powerful like Trump. He's savage. He's a man. He's a Florida man. You know, DeSantis is a well-groomed Florida man. And that motherfucker.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
I have to agree. You know, yeah.
And I think he's a patriot. At the end, I don't really know how deep Mike Pence's patriotism goes. Maybe not very deep at all. Ron DeSantis, I think, is a patriot. And that matters a lot. Most presidents for decades now have not been in any way, shape, or form patriots, in my opinion. They hated the country. Clinton, Obama, Bush, all these losers. Trump was the first patriot we had since at least Reagan. So to have Trump back in there and have a VP at the same level, you know, spiritually, for lack of a better term to encapsulate all of it. Yeah, that'd be a really massive, powerful duo like that.
But you know what? I also think that like Biden being in office, you know, all this hell being raised, Kamala Harris, all this, the squad, all this cringy shit. I think that
the country has to survive to 2024 as well, and I don't know if that's going to happen at this rate. So that's the thing too. You got to have the country.
Assuming we survive, my friend. Yeah. Assuming we survive, my thinking is. I had a conversation with a friend about this. He said that he's hardcore conservative. He says, you know what? This is a good thing? I'm like, how the fuck is this a good thing? He says, you know how many of my friends who thought they were on the left came to me saying, I want my ticket back? Like, they're so bad that it's almost like things might get so bad that, you know, the setback is a setup for a comeback, right? It might get so bad that people might just stand. Like, I stood up. I spoke up because it got so bad.
Yeah.
You know, something might happen. Like, I don't want it to get worse. I think it should take less. Our bullshit tolerance should be fucking dialed low, you know, so we can stand up immediately. But, I mean, I have seen people stand up because it's getting bad. And, of course, that's, I mean, it's not the best situation, but the fact that it's getting bad means more men will stand up and we can commune and strategize. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think people too, they get disheartened, like they get over-focused on policy and specific elections. Not that they're unimportant. Trump's was obviously extremely important in 2020, as well as 2016, and they had different outcomes. But basically, I think what's really positive is the MAGA, well, number one, the Raw Paul movement that got started back in 2008, 2012. I think that a heavy influence, and that basically evolved into the Trump movement in 2016, the MAGA movement. And that to me is just growing and growing and growing. And that's what really needs to happen. The issues that America faces culturally, politically, you know, all these things, family and masculinity and femininity, all those things need to be fucking fixed, massively flipped on their head, right?
This is the point.
To do that, you need the culture. You need a great awakening, and I think that's happening. And politically, that's just one exertion of it. Culturally, at the manosphere, and you know, make women great again, all this stuff. That's another example of it, you know. And in art, what you're going through and stuff, people standing up. You know,
this is why everyone loves Kanye so much, Anthony. Because Kanye, I mean, he's not articulate. He's not. But you have to understand it this way. He had every temptation the Dark One could offer him. He says, no, Jesus is king. And what does that mean? What does that mean? That means, no, I'm going to stand up for what's right with fatherhood. And he said a big part of this was because he looked at his kids. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, again, he's not articulate. I get it, and I get it. He likes his pills, whatever you want to say, but it's a testament, because what happened with me is a microcosm, because I'm not nearly any of that volume. But what happened with, and this is happening with so many people, not even in the creative world. So we need to become uncancelable, and the way we become uncancelable is we need to find like-minded community, like in the manosphere. And frankly speaking, it's I think that what we're doing is we're really setting the pathway for all the truth to just go through like a funnel, man. And I'm just a vehicle. I'm just the brush for this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're the messenger, so you get shot. Sorry, bro. Shoot the messenger. That's me and you, dude.
It's all good. It's all good. You know what?
I don't know about you, but I ain't going to the fucking gulag. So
that ain't happening.
No, 100% nope. Yeah. Last question. One of the last questions I wanted to ask you. Are there any other misconceptions that you could kind of highlight for guys? Maybe that'll be in your 21 convention speech about art and masculinity. I mean, what does the average guy not understand, for example, when he watches a great movie or sees maybe a great movie, but doesn't really care about it? Maybe, like, I would consider John Wick 1, for example, a pretty great movie. Not the best in history or anything, but that was a powerful movie compared to the other fucking trash you see that's rolled out through Hollywood, every fucking week. Not COVID crap notwithstanding. That was a great masculine movie. I think it was just powerful. Keanu, one of his best roles, the first movie. There's a lot of other movies too. I love Patriot, Braveheart, things like this. And that's just a form of art that people are very familiar with, obviously. Not many people are going to art galleries, but they do go to the movies and stuff. So what are some other misconceptions about art, that the average man in America sees or could see that he's not understanding? Like, what is he missing in value in these things? How can art make your life better as a man?
Yeah, well, number one is we can't care about women so much. I think a big, for me, the reason why there's two types of pleasures, right? There's the surface value of pleasure, which is good food, sex, hedonism, and the deeper pleasure is the application or mastery of a discipline, and an appreciation of it too, right? So it's important for us to, as men, to we need to, the whole sentiment that women, they already have their pathway. They understand. They have kids, and they have to be selective. They're wise. That's pretty much it. Men, we need to become masters of a discipline, and a part of that is appreciating other disciplines and seeing that same light. So we have to understand that we have to become men of cultures. We need to become the gatekeepers, because you'll be surprised by how linked these things are. The reason why you feel this elitist, pretentious vibe when you go into a gallery, that's designed that way, right? Men used to be the ones who were the gatekeepers for all of this right now, but currently, I think it's like 70-80% of the people who are working in galleries are women, and they're basically going to be running it in another 10-15 years.
Wow.
So that's already happening. So we need to get involved here, and it's almost like return to tradition, restore the sacred, and buy some damn art. And again, I'm not talking for myself here, but you have to get involved in the culture. You really do. I mean, like, I'll test it out right now. If I said, it seems today that all we see is violence in movies and sex on TV, you guys can finish it. You know why? Yeah, because that's culture, right? If I was to start reading something from, I don't know, like Dostoevsky, you're not going to know what the fuck I'm talking. You can't recite that. And that's a problem. But the point is that you want to get into the culture faster. This is why Trump was so good, because he understands the power of branding, right? Yeah. It's a carrying agent. But if I see Sleepy Joe, Lying Ted, Crooked Hillary, those things stick, right? So we need to get involved in the culture in that level where it's almost like, look at what Anthony's doing. Just be straight up about it. And a part of that is you do need to get involved, whether it's attending classical concerts or supporting musicians that are concerned. It doesn't matter, but you need to be more culturally involved, because younger people reach out to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm always trying to make it clear. I'm like,
and how old are you too? You're in your 30s?
I'm 30, man.
30. Cool. Nice.
Yeah, I'm 30.
Welcome to the best decade of your life, man. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Well, I mean, I get so many young people reach out to me because young people look at art. They'll watch it a little bit, but they really are influenced by people they think make amazing work. Whether they're amazing rappers, amazing musicians, amazing painters. I get so many DMs from young kids, and they go, "Hey, how do I do what you're doing?" But a part of that is knowing that if they ask the wrong artist that, they're gonna tell them, "I want you to read Critical Theory by."
What's your response? Pick up a paintbrush, pussy. Get painting.
Well, no, I'll tell them you need to. I always tell them, kids will camp me actually, and they'll say, "I want to paint a dragon being killed." But I'm like, okay, that's all great, but first learn how to fucking use your hand. Go draw a still life. Don't. I mean, there's gotta be the boring stuff first, and that's the real reality of it. So, it's just important for men to get back involved in the culture and the arts. And a sophisticated man, the deeper pleasure is being a man of the arts and culture, because it isn't a pretentious thing. It's actually a very, foundational, grounded thing. You're not. There's no fake. There's nothing frivolous going on. You're staying right where you are. Your interpretation and perspective is just as valid as some cerebral masters of feminist dance and their projection of the art. It's just to take that out of the picture. And actually, there's a quote by Roger Scruton. You know Roger Scruton?
I've heard the name, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was just typing here, pulling it up. Let me read this for you guys. He says, when art becomes merely shock value, our sense of humanity is slowly degraded. The culture of a civilization is the art and literature through which it rises to consciousness of itself and defines its vision of the world. And that's how you have to look at it. You guys can control the direction of the culture as art collectors, patrons, whatever, you name it. And I gotta say, most art people they're not all on the left. The left is just shamelessly loud and vocal. That's just the real problem about it. Most of my collectors, they're not on the left. But here's a big thing I've noticed. If you're a liberal collector and you find out this artist has a conservative predilection, they won't collect you anymore. If you're a conservative collector, they don't care if they like your art. That's all it boils down to. And that's a good thing because it shows their real sense of they're more open, but they're not vocal. So everything comes down to speaking up and standing up for what's right and participating in cultural game.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. It's people bitch about the culture war and this and that. And I mean, it sucks in some ways how the culture is just collapsing as we've seen, at least in my lifetime and your lifetime in America. All this fucking woke garbage, right? In the 90s, a lot of this didn't exist. We had some, obviously, we had feminism, we had PC culture, percolating up. But at the same time, I think it's an amazing time in history to live. I mean, technologically, it's fucking fantastic. We have toilet paper, the internet, flight, space, to fucking go to the moon and shit. Like, things are pretty good. It's been worse, obviously, before. So at the same time, it sucks that culture's, decaying in these ways. It's a great fight. We get to fight. And I think there's still a lot of opportunity to win and come out victorious on top for our nation, for the future, and for the West. So I'm excited, man. Artists are key to that.
Well, listen. I mean, I'm fighting the battle of ideas in the gallery, right? But as Americans, especially to the white man listening, think about your ancestors who fucking bled and got the shit kicked out of them to be where you are now, and you're afraid of some. You need everyone to like you. It's
delusional how people, they have no respect for their bloodline, like what their ancestors went through. I've thought about this with women, for example, that women today have more rights and privileges than their entire line of maternal ancestors combined, dating back hundreds of thousands of years. If you combine all of their rights and all their privileges up for 300,000 years, the woman right now, born 25 years ago, has more than 300,000 years of women, and they still bitch like they're actually oppressed. It's insane. It's fucking delusional. But men do the same thing.
More women today are gonna die single than ever before, man. And it's such a sad thing because I've seen Look, mind you,
they're gonna get eaten by cats, dude. They're gonna get eaten by cats in some cases, literally.
They're gonna be eaten by cats, man.
They're gonna nibble at their toes and fucking eat them alive.
Oh Jesus!
That'll happen.
It's terrible, man. You know what happens when patriarchy comes into the picture? You know, we watch our daughters, and then we make sure that they're nested with a good man. You know, that's the difference. And it's just so sad because I see so many girls, because you know the hottest women in the world are in California and New York City, right? Well, not the world, in the United States, because they all come here. And what I see is I see all these girls in their early 20s wasting their beauty, telling all the good guys to fuck off, and then those good guys come to them when they're in their 30s now. And I mean, they go to those good guys when they're in their 30s now, and they say, "No, I'm just gonna get a younger you now that I can. You're telling me to fuck up the whole time." You know what I'm saying?
It's fucked in both directions. I mean, the guys are too nice. You know, they're decent men, but a lot of them are too nice.
It's men's fault, actually. It's men's fault at the end of the day because, and I'm not talking about at the dating level. I'm talking about at the inside the house level, because the father might overextend his control in a physical way, and then she's gonna counter that and become a slut, or he might just not do it enough, and then he's gonna and then she's gonna just feel like there's no limitations and rules. We're not. You know, I think the solution is alpha is not about. There's indicators, muscles, all that stuff. That's all indicators, and testosterone is too, a big indicator. But it's a man who is willing to fight and stand up for what's right. I've said this like 8 times now, so I probably sound like a tape recorder, but I really do think so. I mean, the ancients talk about how the alpha man is going to change from the man who has more power to the man who's able to speak the truth. Wisdom. Wisdom is going to be a greater sign of being an alpha. This is one thing I so like about you, man. You come from that world, you know, so you know that side too. And then now, but you understand, like I know this, like we can't expect women to fight for greater abstract social issues if they can't even talk to a guy that they like. You know what I'm saying? We have to go talk to the girl.
Very few of them. Ayn Rand would be an example, and Janice Fimengo. You'll find outlier examples among women.
Oh, I love Janice. I spoke to her. A while ago. Yeah, she's amazing. I love Janice.
I love her too. She's amazing. I call her the queen of anti-feminism. She's speaking at 22 convention for the ladies. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I haven't spoken to her in a long time. I had a podcast that got canceled when I was doing one of my I used to be teaching at university level briefly, and I left immediately. And I was doing a podcast at the same time. And I realized they said you're not allowed to do that. They're basically saying you're owned. You can't do other things like that and be public. Yeah. And then I was done with that, man. That's my whole life, man. Just I'm going good. They find out who I am. They're going good. But that's why I'm in the manosphere, brother. That's the new movement.
That's contrast, man. It's like your paintings, dude. It's contrast. It's the ups and downs, man. The yin yang. I dig it.
Story of my life.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you being on the show today. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a very unique and novel episode for the Redman Group, episode 142. And I look forward to meeting you, man, later this year in October in Orlando, Florida. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, Anthony, I appreciate you, man. Keep it up, brother, and you're a good man.
Thanks, man. Thank you. You too.
Yeah, brother.
And your website is arthurkwonlee.com. Everybody, make sure you check that out. There's
Go to arthurkwonlee.com, and my Instagram is imageboard, Arthur Kwon Lee. There's a YouTube situation being in the works, but I'm so not in this game. But I'm learning it little by little. But it's all Arthur Kwon Lee.
Nice. I'm pulling up your Instagram now too. Everybody go check him out, Arthur Kwon Lee. I like the John Wick, thing. You're like, man, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'm going to end the show now. You can hang on the line privately for a minute. Everyone else, thanks for tuning in live to the Redman Group, or you watched it later. Hit like and subscribe. I appreciate it. If you hate it, hit downvote. Get off the channel. Go fuck yourself. You know, all that jazz. Just trolling you guys a little bit. We'll probably see you next week, next Saturday. Otherwise, I'll see you soon on the next show, episode 143 of the Redman Group. Arthur, thanks again, and we'll talk here in a minute. Peace out, guys.